It is your midweek edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, good evening and thank you very much for joining us. Today, as guest, we are having Mr. Bekwa Jerome. He is a teacher, or he is the head teacher of Papyrus Bilingual Nursery and Primary School, Lokpom. And of course, we have Mange Venashus. He is always there for us to debate certain aspects concerning issues happening in and out of Cameroon. So I will turn right away to our guests tonight. Good evening to you, Jerome, and thank you very much for coming. Good evening, Vanessa. It's a pleasure being here today. Mange Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa. Good evening to our viewers.
Let us take the first part of the show, that is the yes or no question and answer. If you are just tuning in, we are live in the studios of Douala. First question: after the Reconstruction Commission rounded off two-week mission to the Northwest and Southwest regions, is there any hope for the project to succeed? I begin with you, Chero. Yes or no?
No.
Mange Venashus?
Yes, Vanessa.
There is hope for it to succeed. Question 2. Government refutes talking with separatist leaders. Is there any impact of such to the ongoing crisis? Jerome?
Yes.
Mange Venashus?
Yes, it does, Vanessa.
Yes, it does. And our last question for tonight: over a dozen students reported infected with COVID-19 in Bamenda. Is that a sign of weakness in enforcing barrier measures in our school milieu? Mange Venashus?
Yes.
Yes. And to you, Jerome?
Yes.
Yes. Coming up next, we are having the debate. In our first question, Jerome, you think that yes, there is hope for the project, that is the reconstruction project that rounded off in the Northwest and the Southwest region. You think that there is hope for this project to... No, you are rather saying no. Yes, there is no hope for the project to succeed.
There is no hope for the project to succeed, according to my point of view. Why do I say so? There can never be construction going on and destruction going on at the same time. For this to succeed, there must be ceasefire between the separatist fighters and the military of the Republic of Cameroon. That is why I say no, because you cannot be building and destroying at the same time. One of the things you should take note of is that those who are going to get into the field of building, we have to think about their security. Where are they going to start building from? And if the reconstruction will have to take place in the two regions at the same time and in different areas, do you think that the Republic of Cameroon will be able to take care of the security of all those that are going to be involved in the reconstruction process? That is not sure. Yes, our engineers will get into the field. Remember that they leave from their homes to the field and from the field back at home. Mm-hmm. What about their security at the various sites of reconstruction? What about their security on their way back, to the site of construction and back home, and their security back at their various homes? Are they going to be guarded? Are they going to be like presidential guards to each of them that are going to get into the field of construction? It is a very fat lie. So I say no, that reconstructing the Northwest and the Southwest region without ceasefire from both sides is practically impossible.
It's practically impossible. So you are calling for a ceasefire?
I am calling ceasefire from both sides, from the government and the separatist fighters, because we desire to see our regions to be what they used to be, and what not more. And for it to be so, there must be total ceasefire. And if I have to add something, when we talk about a total ceasefire, it is at this juncture where we are, it is an obligation for both the government of Cameroon and the separatist fighter that there should be ceasefire, so much so that we can once more enjoy the land that we used to go there and enjoy our lives without any fear. Without any fear.
Thank you very much for your point of view, Jerome. He says that construction cannot take place where destruction is taking place at the same time. But Vanessa, you rather think that there is hope for this project to succeed?
Actually, Vanessa, when the national coordinator and his team, I'm talking of Minister Paul Tazong, when they completed their 10-day mission in the 2 affected regions, and the outcome of the mission, what they discover in the field, I think it would go a long way to assure, you know, the success of the project. Because when you listen to them, when they went to Bamenda, there is what came out from Bamenda and Boya, the 2 regions, what they call the Bamenda Declaration, the Boya Declaration, in which they met and the people agreed, you know, to cooperate with the national coordinator so that they could rebuild their regions. Remember, this mission was out for sensitization and for fact finding. That is, what can we do to rebuild these 2 regions? And I remember they were going with the slogan, build back is better. Which means they wanted to, you know, within these 10 days, 5 in the northwest, 5 in the southwest, they had consultative talks with stakeholders, with every sector of the society, with the administration, with the civilian, civil society activists, with the population, to get from them, how can we go about it in your various regions? And you realize that in each of these consultative talks, participants gave out demands. Participants gave out conditions that if you do this, we will succeed. If you do this, we will succeed. If we do this, we will succeed. Having rounded up the 2 weeks, the 10-day mission, actually it's 2 weeks, the 10-day mission in the 2 regions, and back to where they came, where the mission started, that is in Yaoundé, Minister Paul Tazong and his team will give the feedback to the Prime Minister. It was the Prime Minister who ordered for this mission. So they would give the feedback, that is the synthesis of what they are bringing from the 2 regions. This is what the people are asking for. These are the proposals that the people have given that we should follow. And we believe that the mission, as it started with good faith, we believe that if the minister, the Prime Minister puts into action those proposals that were given by the inhabitants, by the population of the southwest and northwest regions, nothing will stop the project from surviving. Remember, Minister Paul Tazong actually stressed that they actually identified safer areas within the regions from where the project would take off. Vanessa, people have been tired of this crisis for the past 3 years. Everybody wants the return of peace. People want to go back to their villages, to their towns, like Mr. Jerome was saying, and enjoy. I mean, live a free life, live as citizens.
All right, Mangavenashus, if you say it's going to succeed, let me get the point of Jerome. He says that reconstruction cannot take place when destruction is taking place at the same time. How possible is that?
Actually, there are people who are living in these regions. It is a fact that the separatist fighters are in constant, you know, battle, in constant loggerhead with the military. But then the strategy they seem to have agreed on was to begin construction from the safer areas. And remember, they always say that what is always difficult is the beginning. Once they begin, everybody is optimistic that, you know, in the long run we are going to see a ceasefire. And once the ceasefire comes in, with the project having been initiated, having at least taken off, we will continue. Because when the population, when all those who participated in those consultative talks, they were bringing out possibilities. You know, when we live out of the region, we don't know what is happening there. But those of them who live in that region, they know what they can do to go ahead. They know what they are doing to go about with their with their daily lives. That is why they were proposing to Minister Tazong and Mayor Njong Donatus that these are the various steps that we can take. We follow this, we do this, you know, and reorienting the plan, the project, because from Yaoundé they could not do just jump into the field and started constructing. That is why the Prime Minister sent them, go out, find out. That's why they call it the fact-finding mission, and then sensitize the people. And that's why the minister went with telling them that build back is better. Because I remember when I listened to one of the interviews, he says they are going to rebuild the destroyed infrastructure, and then they will not just rebuild it as it was, they would rebuild it more than it was. And then the other aspect of it was rebuild the consciences, the mindset of the people. So we think that once they will put that into practice, what they brought from the two regions, once it will be initiated, I don't see anything stopping the project from surviving.
I see Jerome smiling.
Yes, I have to smile. Remember that when we are talking about this reconstruction project that is being headed by Minister Paul Tazong, we are reconstructing to reintegrate the people that are in the bushes. And just of recent, the minister himself said there is nobody in the bush. And if there is nobody in the bush, what are they going to reconstruct that have been destroyed? Those places that were destroyed, where are the people living? In the air, in the space? Mr. Venatius, I do agree with you, because it is better to be late than never, but there is something that has to be done before the project or the process keeps moving, which is total ceasefire from both sides.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Jerome. Question 2. Government refused talking with separatist leaders. Is there any impact of such to the ongoing crisis in these two regions? And Jerome, you think that yes, there is an impact. Government actually, the communique came out on Monday refusing that they have held no meeting with Sisiku, Ayuk and Co. That is the separatist leader. And we are asking whether is it going to have any impact in the reconstruction project of the Northwest region or on the crisis in general? You say yes. How would that be?
Actually, we are talking about what is happening in the field. And when I said yes, there is an impact. Because at this juncture where we are, both the southern Cameroonians and the government of Cameroon, we are on a bridge. And there is no moving ahead, neither moving behind. We are both confused. When the social media reported that the separatist leaders met with some specified members of the government to begin pre-talks, when this was leaked out, because before they went into pre-talks, no one was informed. But after their pre-talks, it was leaked out. People starting nodding their head and say, yes, we are beginning a new step. And now, when the Minister of Communication, Mr. Rene Sadi, released a press release that the government has not come in contact with the separatist fighter, it therefore means that we don't know where we are going to. And if after everything, when the pre-talks came up, the population was happy. But if there is a refute about it, then we are afraid. And you will believe with me, Vanessa, that since the crisis started, there is one thing that the entire world is crying about, and particularly the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon, which is nothing more than sincere and inclusive dialogue. And if they say yes, and if they are saying no, well, one thing is clear, that before total reconstruction takes place in these two regions, there must be sincere and inclusive dialogue. And Vanessa, let me say this thing. Those of us who are out of these two regions, we know the impact that we have. And we are pleading to the government of this republic that 4 years is enough. It is better to be late than never. I said it here before, referring to what my colleague said, Mr. Mange Venatius, that it is better to be late than never. Why do I say so? 4 years is enough. The number of bloodshed is enough. The looting and the killing is enough. The kidnapping is enough. We cannot more enjoy the land from which we come from. A few weeks ago, I went to Bamenda, particularly Indo, to bury my stepmother. But before I could arrive by missing, it was a talk of war. It was a talk of war.
Those are the realities.
These are the reality. This is what is happening in the field. And even back at home, before the burial process, for you to spend 2 days in your home, in your own village, you cannot sleep. You are afraid because you don't know what can happen in the next minutes. Let me tell you, being in Bamenda on one fateful Friday morning, I went for morning prayers. Just as I was coming out from the church, I saw people running, and they said, outside is dark. I said, what is that? They say, the military don't enter, military don't enter. What could I do? I started running. I even removed my shoes. I had to run for my own dear life because you don't know what can happen.
All right, all that just to tell us that if actually the government have been talking with the separatist leaders, it is good. There
would have been hope. But if they have not talking with the separatist, there is no dialogue without the separatist leader. They have to be there.
They have to be
And if they are not there, then the future of reconstruction, the two English region, is fearful.
It's at stake, is fearful. Mange Venatius, what could be some of those impact in the ongoing crisis?
Vanessa, when I listened today, I read some of the comments that Cameroonians were expressing, especially on social media. There's no way that we can, escape getting what is happening through the social media in the era that we are now. And when you listen to Cameroonians talking, you really see that desire in them. When the information started circulating as from the 2nd, the 3rd of this month that government has purportedly met with separatist leaders in jail, you read across the mindset of Cameroonians, both home and abroad, that yearning for return to normalcy. And when the government, I use the word shattered the hope, because when the communique of the Minister of Communication came out, that was on Tuesday, to refute allegations that the government had talks with separatist leaders. Cameroonians were disappointed, because when you read them, some were, of course, just simply saying that government has no good faith in resolving the crisis. But then, that is not my anger. My anger here is, the minister indicated in his communique that government is still bent on looking for solutions to resolving this crisis through dialogue. That is what the minister indicated. But the worry here would have been the dialogue with who? Because when you see what Cameroonians were expressing from the political class, from civil society, from, in fact, home and abroad, you realize that they are simply telling the government that this angle, if we touch this angle, we may be coming out with a solution. Even some of these, even also some of the leaders of this secessionist movement from abroad, they loaded the initiative that we are already in discussion with the government, which means if that step is taken, we may find a way out of this crisis.
A lot of people will align to that.
So we think that just having this reaction from Cameroonians, I think that the government should go into this option of negotiating. Vanessa, we already know these separatist leaders they declared themselves that they are not Cameroonian citizens. They said they are Ambazonian citizens when they were in court. They said they are not Cameroonian citizens. So we know that they are the leaders of the secessionist movements in Cameroon. And if we have to silence it, this is time that we can do it now. If we allow it to go. Remember, I was saying here the other day that there are people in both the Ambazonian camp and in the other camp, government camp, that would not want to see this crisis coming to an end.
Because of greed. Because of greed and selfishness.
Okay.
Because the crisis is an open door to some people to keep eating from where they have never sown.
Okay, so my argument here was, if we allow this period, the effect will be they will work to make sure that they aggravate the situation so that it should not come to an end. So I think that government should use this. It should be like a litmus test. They have seen what Cameroonians were thinking, that if there was such a talk, maybe we may succeed. So government had to me, the government should use this opportunity, get the separatist fighters. Vanessa, when you talk with somebody, I don't think that you base yourself, even when you say, I am sorry. When you say, I am sorry, you impose yourself to somebody as one who reasons normally. Government has that duty of ensuring, of safeguarding the security of Cameroonians. And if it means passing through, discussing with the separatist leaders for peace to return in these two regions that have gone for close to 4 years, they should
be done.
Because the damage that has been caused is enormous. We'll talk of reconstructing the northwest and southwest regions. We'll talk of, you know, rebuilding the mindset. What about reconstructing the lives that have lost? What miracle would the government ever use to reconstruct those lives? What I mean here is, would they ever bring them back? Yes. So this is high time that we need to handle the crisis now that we are, and then we'll discover that that will be a way forward to solving this crisis. Some of
those lives they are going to resurrect, just like Lazarus and the others did in the Bible.
We hope that there will be a Jesus. We hope that there will be a Jesus in this our era to carry out such.
Well, anyway, if the government discusses with the separatist leaders, it's not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength.
That is it.
Our third question: a dozen students reported infected with COVID-19 in Bamenda. Is that a sign of weakness in enforcing barrier measures in our school milieu? And Jerome, you say yes, it is a sign of weakness, given that before schools reopened, there were a lot of controversial views. Parents were hesitant to send their children to school, but then they have done so, and we're already having or we're already getting that some students are already been infected. So have schools relaxed their measures of containing the virus?
When you look practically about the dozens of students we are talking about, we are referring particularly in the northwest region of Cameroon and the Bamenda town for that purpose. And when I said yes, it is because there are measures that have been set, and if these barriers are strictly respected, then our school milieu can be a little bit safer. And these students that have been infected with the COVID-19, one thing is clear, because we have to look at it from different perspectives. Are these students tested at the entrance of the school before they are being let in? And what are the barriers measures that the school is being put in place? And if this has happened, it therefore means that certainly there are weaknesses somewhere. And this is calling for the entire education family to sit up. To sit up. The infection could not be come from the student themselves, but it could be from the teachers themselves, that they have carried it from outside into the campus. It could be from visiting parents, and so on and so forth. And it could be from, you know, in some of our schools, our students nowadays, they are very good at dodging from school. One can easily sneak out of the school and get contaminated. When you come back,
You infect your
next neighbor. From your next neighbor, it goes around the entire school. So we have to sit up, and all the educational sectors have to sit up to reinforce the barrier measures. And let me say something. You see, the government common entrance was written just about a week ago, and when you look at the barriers measure in the different sub-centers that were put in place, you see that something is lacking.
Okay.
When you look at the cloud of parents that comes to accompany their children in the different examination center, there is no distancing measure. And in the different, when the children are already in the center where they have to write, there are some other duties that have to be done. They need to be orientated. The chief of centers, the invigilators in charge, those at the gate, as soon as a child enters into the campus, that child has to be directed to the class where he has to sit and write. And when the child gets in, that child is not supposed to come outside. The child should be seated. Because if you look around, you will discover that within the period as they were writing the exams, those of us who were outside, you see children moving around with no control. It's not good. And we pray that as first school living certificate will be coming up, those measures should be reinforced.
All right, Mange Venatius, your point of view.
Yes, Vanessa, I liked what the teacher was saying. He is actually in the field. He concerns them. And when we look at the situation in Bamenda, it concerned practically, it was precisely in a boarding school where these children are confined. But then we are talking of an infection of close to a dozen students. The question now is, how did the virus get into the school? Because these children are supposed to have been screened when they were coming into the campus. And some of them, they are not allowed, because the school concerned, all of this, the students are boarders. So it's probably a teacher that brought it in, because teachers are allowed to mingle with the outside world and then come back to school. I think that when you look around, it's not only in Bamenda.
No, like he said, some students are good at sneaking. And
okay, those are on identified cases. Because teachers is official.
And they are minor cases.
Yes, there are such minor cases.
Yes.
The teachers practically on a daily basis. Now, when you look at, it's not only in Bamenda, but in other regions like Douala, any other region, when you stand beside and see students coming back from school or going to school, distancing measures, the social distancing, like he was saying, doesn't exist. How many of them do wear the face mask? I doubt whether those measures are still being respected. I think that let it not be like the fear. You only wear it when you are getting into the school, as if the virus is only found in school. But even when you leave the house, I think that we have forgotten the sensitization campaign that was launched when schools were to reopen on the 1st of June. I think that we should intensify it, both the school and the parents and the families. Don't allow your child leave the house without a face mask, hand sanitizer, and keep drumming on that child's ears that don't remove it, sanitize your hands, and be stable when you reach school. Don't intermingle with your classmates.
All right, thank you for your viewpoint. But to you, Jerome, you as the head teacher of Papyrus Bilingual Nursery and Primary School, how is your school managing the coronavirus pandemic? Given that students are back.
Yeah, thank you very much for this beautiful question. And I think that all of us, we have to fight this out. And back in Papyrus Bilingual Nursery and Primary School in Lokpum, barriers measures are actually being reinforced. They are actually being practiced. One, the wearing of face mask is obligatory. And before you pass through the gate into the school, you have to be disinfected. And every day, at the close of the school day, both classrooms are disinfected, the verandas are disinfected, and every weekend the entire campus is being disinfected. And for that, I want to give a very big salute to the proprietress of this school, Madame Getchon Florence, for a job being well done as we continue in the process.
All right, thank you very much for coming.
God bless you.
Mange Venatius, hope to see you again tomorrow.
We'll be there, Vanessa.
All right, we're almost running out of time, but luckily we are still there with the collaboration of our producer tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end. Thank you very much. Do so again tomorrow, because it will be another interesting moment to have you. Remember, we are here because you are there, and of course, you're in front of your TVs because we are here. Blessed night.